Hello, my name is Eric Chambers and this is my video submission for communicating sustainability. A little background information before I begin. I spent 20 days abroad in Estonia and 1 day in Latvia. My colleagues and I spent our time in varied types of planning and architecture lectures, visiting landmark tourist sites and ascertaining as much Baltic culture that a 3-week time frame could afford us. In this time, I observed the extensive amount of planning done to accommodate non-vehicular traffic. The topic I have chosen to analyze for this assignment is the system of pedestrian and bicycle accessibility within Tallinn and Tartu, Estonia. I chose this because the incorporation of it into urban planning in these two cities was the most apparent sustainable quality we focused on during our stay. Coming from Long Island, New York, I had not previously visited anywhere that had interwoven designated pedestrian and bicycle paths as heavily as the places I visited in Estonia. On most sidewalks and pathways in Tallinn and Tartu, there were large infographics painted to separate the lanes. Most notably in Tallinn, I went inside my first pedestrian tunnel. This was a tunnel set underground in a park that was split by a street. The tunnel permitted an underground passage not only to the other side of the park, but it also permitted users to the other side of the street perpendicular to the park where the train station was located. My friends Pat and Matt will now demonstrate the routes one can take when using this tunnel. The rail set on the right side of the staircase permitted access to wheeled users should they wish to use the tunnel as well. When I first came across this tunnel, I saw it immediately utilized by teachers and toddlers on a class field trip and thought it was a very attractive quality of the park to incorporate a degree of safety in such an accessible way. Tartu was unique to applying the system to its infrastructure because it had a river cutting through it. Because of this, the city has placed special focus on its waterfront accessibility and passage over the river at popular locations. Across from the town square and the bus station/mall downtown, Tartu had bridges dedicated solely to pedestrian and bicycle traffic. The strengths in focusing Estonia's efforts in the system is what makes this country more inhabitable. More accommodations for different types of travel help make the country universally accessible to all types of transportation. When a city manages to incorporate non-vehicular systems into society, it makes it a focal point of tourism and commerce. Accessibility may even drive the people to the point of wanting to move to that location and contribute their abilities to the community permanently. The implementation of this system within the fabric of Estonian society has had a hand in resolving the conflict of burning up of fossil fuels. By making these modes of travel safer and more convenient, its occupants are likelier to use it, which reduces the amount of pollutants being emitted into the atmosphere. This system also promotes good health by encouraging people to exercise during their regular commute. The weaknesses of this system are the natural elements. Typically, on an inclement day, riders and walkers are less likely to be using those spaces dedicated to their specific type of travel. However, the tunnel may still hold appeal since it is underground and would not be affected as much by rain or snow. Another threat comes to the system if it is too successful in drawing people to the area. If overpopulation occurs, a shift may happen from non-vehicular to vehicular focus, a scenario in which would call for more roadways to be implemented into society, which may cause the elimination of certain public spaces used for recreation, much where these non-vehicular paths are currently located. Overall, the costs are moderate, an initial cost to build and then comparatively little cost afterwards to maintain. Since Estonia does not see much destruction from natural disasters as we do, the only forwarding costs are that of maintenance when necessary. To balance this cost out, the tax revenue generated that could be traced to the old and new inhabitants that gain more accessibility to the areas through these sustainability efforts. This system appears to function as a primary concern within the country of Estonia. In my stay there, I noticed that these lanes were used especially by bicyclists. In America, I live in Patchogue, a suburban town near New York City. It is especially focused there on vehicular travel, with bicyclists at its secondary. Sidewalks and crosswalks do exist for the foot traffic, but a very small number of towns around here have a bicycle and pedestrian accommodations on every street and pathway within its borders. Overall, this kind of system is one which benefits both the ruling states and its occupants. My experience in Estonia has afforded me with great insight into different types of ways cultures take different modes of traffic into consideration. I intend to take this otherworldly knowledge back to Buffalo with me in the upcoming semester when drafting up new concepts. Thanks again for watching.